Bringing in Ross Feingold once again from Taiwan. He's a political analyst there. Ross, how do you see this playing out? At this point, it looks like the protests are spreading, escalating. That's the sense one gets from the outside. How do you see it play out? Will it just go through a course, there will be clampdowns, and then it will all just disappear? Or do you think things could actually get out of hand?
Based on past experience where there have been protests, although not necessarily as widespread or about the same issue as this, but localized protests over housing issues or labor unrest, the authorities usually do let it play out. At some point there's an attempt to negotiate, and people who might be the leaders may find themselves in legal jeopardy. It's inevitable that people who lead these kinds of protests do get detained, whether for a brief period of time or something lengthier. One of the challenges that China has had, to put this in a political context, we should keep in mind that following the party Congress, the intention of the government was to relax some restrictions and to give the people good news. So whether it's a democracy or a non-democracy like China, when the government raises expectations, they have to respond to that. But then they reverse themselves, and that makes people angry. And we're seeing that with these protests, that expectations were raised, but then they weren't met because of a quick reversal. So they're going to have to offer some relaxation at some point, and they'll probably say that we met the challenge of the outbreak and now we could relax again. I would expect to see some level of that in the coming days.
Gaurav, a question that democracies like India, the United States and others, and even Taiwan wish to ask is, China has a track record of, when it faces domestic crises, it creates geopolitical distractions on the outside. How is the world seeing this, especially countries like India and the United States?
Shiv, you're spot on. Every time there's internal trouble in China, China would try to do something on its borders so that the fervor of patriotism and nationalism grips the country and people forget internal troubles. That is why India is already on a state of heightened alert, despite it being end November and the line of actual control, especially in Ladakh, being extremely cold, -10 and -15 in some places, even colder, but nothing is being left to chance, because this is the time that China could try something either closer to Ladakh or even Sikkim or Arunachal Pradesh, or even in the Indian Ocean region. And that is why Indian Army, Navy and Air Force are a state of heightened alert, as is Taiwan, as is the US Navy, democracies across the world. They're making sure that nothing happens even along the Taiwan Strait, to ensure that China doesn't use any of this as diversionary tactics.